Folks, Brew.com here. Welcome back to another standard action video. And this match was recorded before the weekend, so I got extra stuff like to actually add to my thoughts here based on my own local open standard event, plus some knowledge or thoughts based on day one feature matches from Star City Games Open in Atlanta. In front of you, that's still Jeskai on the left side of the screen, and on the right is my take on the Grindfest Elves. We were really hoping to get a proper tasting against Jeskai Black version. What you're gonna see is just Jeskai without black, but still with Dragon Master, etc. So some cards were stuck in the post, so bear with me. It's basically the same thing, just without the Crackling Doom and the Call Against Command and Tastigur, but it's all the same stuff. Jace is included, obviously, in the deck here. So also, I'm pointing out to you so that you don't wonder later on. Basically, we're gonna change the layout and the sides like after the first two pre-sideboarded games, so main deck configurations, because I wasn't happy with the lights and the way cards were seen. So even though I'm here with you guys to explain everything that's going on, but I want you to be able to see everything clearly without any glares. So tap lands from him on turn 1, he was forced to play those because he, even though he has the fetches, but the new dual lands didn't arrive from the post. It's been like more than a week, we're also like wondering that thing. But within a week or so, we would be rematching this against the proper version without stupid lands, with all the new lands with the black splash and so on. So just a trapper for me on turn 1 and turn 2 Cutthroat. I actually have very mixed feelings about Cutthroat. I do think it's better to drop in this style, in this version of the deck than base Cola or the Glider. It just does much more. You don't need that ramp, you just need to bash face and make them take more damage than they would like to. So he killed the Cutthroat with Fire Impulse, a card that I really like a ton right now in the metagame, at least if it's remotely similar to what we have seen already day 1 at SCG in Atlanta. Moving forward, the reaction of the metagame probably will be at least slightly different from what we saw in Atlanta, and day 2 metagame will be like probably like full of Jeskai decks, and not so much green whites and not so much other red decks. So roast on the, what was it, I think on the Shaman, on some other card. I think it was Drana. Yeah, I think it was Drana. So Trapper attacks, but no plays from me, so I'm kind of telegraphing here that I have the company in my hands, ready to go. He goes for Ojutai, which he runs actually main deck. It's not a particularly amazing card right now, but I actually think it's gonna change. And when people adopt to red decks and green white and 5-color decks, Ojutai actually is gonna be much better, even for main deck. I just hit like Visionary and Archer from the company, not spectacular. But the thing is about company compared to Messenger is that your odds are practically similar, while actually company is a bit better because it can hit Drun and Cutthroat, so non-elves as well. It cannot hit Elvish Lord, for example, or uh, the Warcaller, the 5 drop. But being instant is so crucial, like to play around Radiant Flames and Lanquish. And you can't probably play the deck without Drun or Cutthroat, that's my feeling. So Ojutai connects, he gets to see some cards. And pick one. Alright. Yep, as you see, like trying to fix up the quality. It's still okay. You can still see more or less the cards, but of course, like, it helps that I'm telling you about everything that's going on. But after this game, actually, it's gonna be much better. I still kept it because it's still pre-boarded game, and I didn't want to mess up the order. So the tie got confused as well if I like put these games at the back of the video or something. So Fiery Impulse killing the Death Right. Well, not Death Right. Come on, the Shaman of the Pack. Okay, he's at 9. Things are not looking super great for him. But he has active Ojutai, which is still like 3 attacks. As long as he can contain my board and stay alive, he's in a fine spot. Like, the Elves like has some difficulty against flyers, but a lot of the time you can just go to the races and ignore them. Your Elvish Lord does have reach, and you can sometimes pump it to the size that's like it can actually survive blocking Ojutai, but that's so rare. Basically, you just need to raise flyers. Of course, you have removals after sideboard for that if you really want to. So, Swift Reckoning taking out Trapper. In response, I go for Company because if I can hit Shaman of the Pack here, he takes 1 more damage, things like that. I hit just Visionary and Archer. So not spectacular, but it's okay. All this damage piles up. At the open, at SG, actually saw more of the Valerie stance compared to Swift Reckoning. And less of Fire Impulse as well, which is like kind of funny. I like the Impulse because it kills like actually Mantis Rider in the mirror and stuff like that. So here you see Rider and the Ojutai coming in. So he gets to maybe dig for something to stay alive. He needs at least 1 removal here, because he's at... No, yeah, he needs to kill the Archer here. He really needs a removal for the Archer. Otherwise he would be dead as it is. No, I have like 2 Archers in play. So, I don't know what, like, actually... I know, he has the Rider. So he needs to have, like, at least a removal for the Archer. Yeah, I see him, like, preparing to kill one of those 1/2s, but he's on 3 untapped mana. That means Ojutai's command is not in the picture, so the Warcaller pumping my whole team basically wraps it up around his removal. It will be enough damage. Yes, he can kill, he can Wild Slash, like whatever, but it's okay. I think in this configuration of Jeskai he played like 2 well slashes, 4 impulses, and 2 or 3 Swiss reckonings, something like that. And moving on, I kind of like that more, but depends on next leveling. Alright, moving on. So now you see like everything's crystal clear, and after a few manipulations we get pretty nice picture. We switch sides, so now Elves on the left and Jeskai's on the right, while I'm fixing some stuff like with the setting, some other jazz, like you see him in the corner playing a match of like one very interesting game, which you guys know. A lot of you love it, a lot of you hate it. I actually think of like making a separate channel for it instead of like posting them over to this one, so that guys who don't really like it don't get annoyed. So Monastery, a card which is like non-existent in Jeskai's right now. So Trapper, and turn 1 from me. I had to point out that I actually, in the configuration after my own open, like which was a 70 plus like players tournament, I cut 1 forest for 1 more swamp, because between thatches and Llanowar Wastes and like basic swamps, like you want to maximize like your chances of playing a turn 1 dude, and your turn 1 dudes are actually your black drops Archer and Trapper. So you don't want to lose that tempo, because it's really important to play 1 drop and then play a light and have the token, so that you actually can aggro and tempo them out as soon as possible before they get to do most of their stuff. Here I had a like decent draw off the Trapper. I got to cast Visionary and then play 1 more Trapper, which is very fine, because no mass removal from him, because it's still before sideboard. So Mantis Rider bites me for 3 damage. I took 2 before because of the Trapper plus the fetch land. And yes, you have like a couple of double green cards, but there are only like 4 of them, like 2 Elvish Lords and 2 War Colors, and your Trappers help you to cast them early enough in the late game, like you still get to your double green, and your sideboard is actually heavy black. The leap requires you to have like some green mana, but by the time you want to have like leap going, you would have like a couple of green mana for sure. Visionary into Shaman of the Pack basically puts him at a very bad spot. So this is a strategy. Even the Jeskai deck, if you like flood the board with like these kind of like value creatures, the small stuff, like they have hard time dealing with you. Green White Megamorph is actually a pretty good matchup, because they don't have enough of interaction, and you operate in a different on a different angle than burn deck. Like they can't use the command to prevent that like removal as a burn spell, things like that, and you have much more board presence that they have to deal with, etc. So Jason, Soulfire Grandmaster, joins the party for Jeskai here. Looking quite okayish for Jeskai here just yet, but the good point with the Trapper is that I can make my attacking Elves like Death Touch, so they trade basically with anything he blocks with. I was just thinking like how to attack here. Didn't want to lose like both of my Trappers here. Although I probably should have attacked with a Trapper here. I only got 1 Shaman of the Pack here of the company, but that's alright. Draining him for 6 is a pretty good deal. He takes extra 2 from the Visionaries. Grandmaster, well, that basically is offset by the lifelink from the Grandmaster, but he's at 8. He's at 8. And I have a board full of creatures. He can't flip his Jace yet, and I think he should have blocked and then loot with it. But he told me that's like, yeah, I really need to dig here, so maybe like he really needed to do that. He probably would be fine getting here like extra lands or something. But I caught a glimpse of Ojutai's command in his hand, so... But it's... If he wouldn't have had it here, it would have been just really annoying for him, I think. Trying to cast Warcaller, I think I should have cast it like just like this. So with the command he gets back the Grandmaster, attack with my guys, he trades with the Shaman. I kept that one black to play the Archer. Probably the right call. But second Mantis Rider actually finishes off the business for him. Basically, that extra 1 point of life costed me. I think I had a decent chance. In general, if I wouldn't have used it there, paid the extra life. So I had to play like around like top deck like Mantis Rider. So that's a lesson for you guys here. Here in my sideboard configuration, I only have massacres, and I went to 4 cuts, but here before the open I actually changed 2 cuts into 2 self-inflicted wounds. Helps against Ojutais actually, and I would say it's not a bad card in this matchup either. Still, he does play Ojutai, but it also hits Mantis Rider. It hits like Seekers. It hits Grandmaster. So yeah, still okay. It doesn't hit Jace though. But for the Jace, I now have like few more tools. I don't think I had them in my sideboards yet. In this recording, I'm talking about 2 copies of Complete Disregard. But then I added them at the open, and then later on, because of like the free splash of duels like this and Fetchies, Red Splash was basically free. So I replaced Massacre with 2 copies of Arc Lightning. They do help in the same matchup, like which is basically red decks and some weenie decks, but they're actually quite fine in this matchup as well. They let you kill Jace early, kill Mantis Rider, kill Grandmaster, go to face, go like free damage to his flipped Jace, to the actual Planeswalker. Unlike Massacre, I do like it a lot against green-white as well. So unlike Massacre, I'm just flanning the board here. I really wanted like an answer to his Jace here, so as you can see I had free mana, and with the new sideboard I would have a lot of like ways to deal with the Jace. Definitely on the play. Sometimes not too often on the draw, but if they look like once, it's okay. It's okay. Like you can still handle that kind of amount of filtering. He missed his 3rd land here, so this is the crucial point here. He did cast a Grandmaster, but it's not gonna do a whole lot here. Just gonna attack with my Visionaries and keep the Trapper up to give my Visionaries Death Touch if he decides to block. But he probably wouldn't. And then I'm just extending my board. I drew manually my red dual lands here, but between 8 fetches, which can get either one of those, and those two, so you have like 10 red sources, and I'm not talking about like splashing double red cards for sure, and Arc Lightning and still like free drops, so you do get there. You do get there, and it's just way more flexible than Massacre or Minister of Pain. It still handles hanger backs and stuff like that, but helps you a lot. Also for hanger back, like Disregard and all that jazz helps. I'm just flooding the board here with creatures, stuff that I will probably never do after sideboarding because he would have mass removals. Though sometimes you can do that if there is no other way. Here, like actually, if he would, it would be like post-cyber games. He would cast a sweeper here. He would kill 2 of his own creatures, so I'd be actually quite fine with that. And maybe if I would have kept like Might of the Masses. Well, here of course, like I have them in this main deck. But then sweeper and then saving like Elite or something and still continuing bashing, something like this. Okay, token blocks and then gets pumped by the mites. He has the impulse for the token in response to the pump, that's fine. I'm very fine with that trade. He doesn't get to gain life because the creature actually didn't do damage, but it was blocked. He's still in a tough spot here. He probably has a Reckoner or something, but Tajuru Warcaller just pumps my whole team and makes it virtually lethal. It's a drain life from the Archer. He's starting at 19, and then 6 from Visionaries, 9 like plus the Trapper, 12 with the Archer, and then 4 more with the Elite, so 16. So yeah, he's at 3. And I don't see a way for him to get out of this game. So you see how much like heavy lifting Warcaller could do here, especially on the play when you hit your curve. I do keep him like actually against red decks, at least one of. I run 2 here. I don't run Messenger though. As I explained on MTG Salvation, basically, if you don't run Collected Company in your deck, yes, you can run Messenger, but it's almost impossible to feed both. Like, you want to, well, you could maybe try a split, but I'm not a huge fan of that. If you run like Timur Sabertooth in the deck, then you probably want to run at least 1 Messenger in the deck no matter what, just to have more value out of the Sabertooth. So I'm at full life almost. I think he just flashbacked with the chase. Reckoning, no, that was something else. I know he plus the Jace, yeah, because Jace is at 6 loyalty here. Sorry. Casting Company here. He's tapped out. If I hit Shaman, he's dead. Basically. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I hit Cutthroat and Shaman, so that's it, folks. I just attack and the Archer deals the last point of damage. So even before he gets to block with the Grandmaster and maybe gain some life, but if I So sideboarding. Take out Might of the Masses because he has like slashes and impulse, so Might is not like super great. It's very fine like main deck card. Then I'm taking out actually companies here, which might be a mistake, but I'm bringing in like so many spells to answer his stuff, so I'm more or less fine with that. Because his cards didn't arrive like right on time, like he's forced to play like Arknighting and Seismic Rupture as the mass removal spells, like instead of Radiant Flames, the new one. So he's bringing in like 3 clerics, and he was thinking about Disdainful Strokes, but um, they don't counter that many things. Like if I take out companies, which he sees that I'm doing that. Well, actually, in the vacuum, I like bringing in at least 1 stroke. What he saw in the pre-board games was also the Elf Lord and the Warcaller and companies, so it's pretty much safe to bring in 1. I'm not sure about 2. Not sure about 2. Because he knows like how I'm gonna sideboard, so that's why, but in the vacuum now. Taking out Augitite is slow, Dragon Master is slow, taking out stats 4 mana, deal 2, bounce a spell or bounce a creature. Taking out Sarkhan is also slow, though he would be a bit light on the win conditions, so it's hard to say. But if he just stays alive for as long as he can, like he can do a lot of stuff. In a vacuum, I actually think that 4 mana spell probably should be like a third Jeskai Charm as for main deck configuration. But if you splash, like then all those flexible slots are eaten up by the splash cards like Crackling Doom. Yeah, you basically don't run the charm in the Jeskai Black version. So I'm bringing 1 lip to offset the sideboarding company, and thinking of the second one, but I don't know exactly like what to cut. So also bring in Duras, bring in Despise, which I later on cut from the deck entirely. Transgress the Mind is okay, takes out his Ruptures, for example, well, or Radiant Flames in general. I was thinking about like bringing the cuts, and I think I probably should have done that. And my sideboard right now is much better for this matchup actually. Now Despise, which is kind of awkward, but then Complete Disregard, Arc Lightning, which are like really good in this matchup. I probably should have brought in like the cuts, brought in the second sleep. Maybe take out like 1 Visionary, 1 Archer, something like that to have get space, and basically just try to grind this out. Just have some early pressure and then interaction in the form of discard and removal. So yeah, once again, in case you're wondering why I cut the company here, well, it's a really good card and quite fine. In this matchup, I'm just setting in like so many spells, so that the company would weave way too often than I would like it to. So I would be lucky enough, like if on average after sideboarding, if I keep them, the company would get me like 1 creature or something. And you really want to hit 2 with it. If you hit 1 with it, then it shouldn't be in your deck in the first place, because like then you can just cast that creature probably for less mana. You get to dig your among your top 6 cards, but still, that's not great. And as long as I have answers for his Jason Magistrider, I think like I'm okay. I'm okay. A lot of my creatures already generate some advantage. Yes, the messenger is like good value, but it's too slow. It's too slow. I actually think if even if you're on the no company and 4 messenger list, I still think you would probably cut some of them after sideboarding. Because once again, you still bring in more interaction, more spells, and your messenger hits are still bad. The math could be a different story if you don't run the cutthroats, but I think you should, though it's not a complete must, but Drana is kind of a must for this deck, I feel like. So if you run like Beast Callers instead of Cutthroat, then I could see reconsidering the numbers, like of what you side out with regard to cards like Messenger Company. Transgress the Minds takes the cruise. Everything else I can probably deal with or don't really care a whole lot. Oh yeah, his list runs one of Magmatic Inside and one Abbot. But I think after splashing he might not have slots for those. He would need space for the black cards. And it's kind of funny because he's not running any black here right now. And because of that, he's actually forced to play crappy lands. It's weird how less colors actually makes your mana base worse and forces you to actually run pretty bad lands. It's ridiculous. On the other hand, even with fetches, it's sometimes, like, I've seen at least a couple of times when on camera at SAG and Atlanta Day 1, people actually just couldn't draw, like, any white sources or any, like, blue sources or things like that. And so you would have, like, some problems some percentage of the time with Jeskai Black, that's for sure. But my mana in this deck is supposed to be perfect, I think. I'm basically just black-green, and in this recording, no red cards. He was essentially forced to remove some of my guys. Oh no, it was just, I think, Wild Slash on the Shaman. I have a pretty slow draw here, so that's my problem. The game you're watching right now is actually the first part. We actually played this enormous gigantamous game till the very end. So in the timed match during a sanctioned event, we will definitely just time out and go to the draw. We're playing like not super fast here, but we would play much faster here if we'd know like about the clock. Arc Lightning cleans up my dudes, like, but he takes 4. I mean, I drain 4 life from him, which is, I guess, alright. So second parts of this gigantic game will be in the second part. But you'll get to see how it started. This was like just a bananas game, just full of Grindfest, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. A lot of the time I just had no idea who was winning, who was losing, and things like that. Just, I would say, and really mean it, an epic Grindfest. While Slash takes out the Shaman, Abbott's winning and for free. At this point, it makes sense to take it. He's run out of gas a little bit. Cutthroat into Dwynen, the Elvish Lord. Supposed to be a decent turn. Attack for 1. No, attack for 2, yeah, right. Because of the Lord. If he attacks with the Abbot, I probably just block with the Cutthroat. Because he took out Jeskai Charm, Ojita and Sarkhan, he actually has trouble to close out the game a little bit. But then again, all those cards are super slow, and if I hit a nut draw, then he'd be in a lot of trouble. So he would rather be on the safer side of things. Shouldn't have attacked with the Elf Lord here, knowing that he actually runs the Swift Reckoning, so that was like really stupid from me. I thought I was safe, so I just figured out that he needed to cast 2 spells so that the Abbot will trade with the Elf. Remembering the trigger from the Cutthroat, because my Dwynen died, so now his Abbot will actually survive because he has cast Reckoning, so really stupid attack from me. Especially since I knew he was on Swift Reckoning and no Valorous Stance. I think if he would just have Valorous Stance in his deck, then probably that attack was fine. Durus, I think he had just a land in hand, but I wanted to see that the coast was clear. Attacking with my guys, Elites trades with the Abbot, but he has an active Jace, which is a problem. Wouldn't be such a huge problem with the new sideboard, but here it is a problem. Also a nice point is that disregards exiles J, so he can't bring it back with the command. And it's an instant, so a weird, playable, limited common is becoming actually a very big staple in Standard. Jace flips, and now the troubles start. Now the troubles start. Imagine I would have Arc Lightning in my sideboards. He flashbacks his Arc Lightning to clean the board, so we can consider that it was just flashback in Radiant Flames. Then Mantis Rider attacks, and I'm at 8 all of a sudden. Playing Archer. Oh yeah, I think like this is the game that yeah, this is, I'm very sorry. So this is not the gigantamous game of Grindfest. I think it's the next one, yeah. But it's still gonna be in this part. The start of it. The beginning of the epic battle. In this one I think I'm just dead to the double Mantis Rider. Like, yeah, I can block one of the Mantis Riders, but I don't kill it, and then we move on to the next game. So, were I not attacked with the Elvish Lure, I think I would have been in a much better shape. He would have to extend more resources and stuff like that. Here you see me like taking out Despise, which felt like a quite okay card, but it's just not for my deck and not for this matchup. I need more proactive stuff. But on the other hand, it's quite okay for all the heavy control decks. So blue-black, Esper Dragons, yeah, it's much better for them against aggro decks. But it's not the card for me. Bring in the second leap because I want more kind of a card advantage machine, offsetting the company. So that's your general plan. Like all the matchups, like where you take out the company because you bring in like a lot of spells, you can safely bring in the leap because that one's not gonna weave. It's much more consistent. Well, it's just consistent basically. Thinking of bringing in the Wildlife Winnower, a card that I also cut from my sideboard by now. But then again, it's a 5-drop, which is most likely gonna be countered by the Agitate's command. So just bring in like one more cut. While I think against his list right here, I should have brought in one more cut. As long as I have answered to the rider plus Jace, I'm okay. So that's, you see what me doing, so I need to cut one more card after I cut Despise. So taking out one Visionary. Keeping 3 in the deck. And then we continue. Out of the version which splashes black, like Tassiger is kind of a bit of a problem. So yeah, you do bring in like all the removals. I do think of Outnumber as the potential nice removal. It's a 1 mana instance, and a lot of the time you're gonna be able like to kill the stuff you want to. It's just something to consider if you're fixing up your mana base with the dual lands and stuff. So the red splash is free. You generally have like some dudes in play, then 1 mana instant to kill something from them. It's pretty nice. I don't think Roast is gonna be good in my deck. It's not an instance. And everybody's saying the same thing. You want your removals to be instant. Turn to leap, which is probably much worse than a turn 4 leap, because he doesn't really have counters for it. By the way, if you're playing Jeskai, then you probably have like 1 Dispel main deck and at least 1 more sideboard. Because yeah, Seth Phillips and Pat Sullivan from SG Coverage Team just Also, couldn't stress it enough how important this spell is in this new format, because it's a lot about proactive cheap threats, a lot about cheap instant removals for those threats, and this spell at 1 mana just puts the odds into your favor, makes you so mana efficient, and uh, if you're playing like mirror match, then you would really want to have this spell in your deck. Leap, um, which aids allied in response to Wild Slash, delivered me a Shaman of the Pack. Arshan Cleric kind of annoys me a little bit here. But it's funny how people say that it's actually not amazing against the full pump version of Atarkaret. So people are saying that you want more removals rather. But but I also mentioned, the SAG coverage team, they also mentioned that it's much better against red decks with more tokens in it. Impulse takes out the Trapper. Don't exactly remember what the leap gave me. But as you can see, like, he's not applying much pressure. Me neither, but I'm a bit strangled on mana, that's why I'm not really pushing this game for my side, clearly. But I'm never running out of gas here, ever. If I would have had like a few more lands this game, he would just be extremely overwhelmed. And if here I would have my latest sideboard, sorry for stressing it so much, but it is quite relevant. I would actually be, how to say, in a much better spot, because I would have like answers for all of his stuff. It seems like he brought in back at least one Jeskai after first cyber game. I actually think it might be alright to cut like one or two cutthroats in this matchup during sideboarding. They're okay, but not like super amazing. Well, they definitely gets much better with the leap, that's for sure. But I still think he can cut one. They're much better main deck as a 4-of, because your strategy there is just be as fast as possible and as aggressive, and like just drain them and deprive of life points as best as you can. That's why Might of the Masses is their main deck. The Ojutai swinged, delivering him some life. Some cards maybe, but that's not gonna happen because I try out to cut and I know that he didn't bring the strokes, so there's no way for him to do stuff about this. Then he casts Rapture. To clean my board and still be left with the cleric to block later. Which is like just absurd. You will never see this kind of situation because it will be Radiant Flames. But then again, you can somehow sometimes play around that and just pay two different colors of mana for your flames. So keep that in mind, Jeskai players. Even though it's kind of obvious a little bit, Abbott delivers him Jace, which is just what the hell is going on kind of a situation. I have just two archers in play, and that's kind of awkward against his board here. Really would need some pump. Finally draw my fourth land here after gazillion turns. He's also just on 5 lands, but with Jace, like, just probably bound to flip soon. He's gonna have a lot of stuff. Okay, I leave you guys here. Check out for the second part soon. So don't forget to subscribe until the next sale. BuildBrew.com says bye.